We are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into today's recap of Pistons versus the Miami Heat, I want to make sure to remind you guys to like and subscribe. Revved Up 906 podcast is always growing, and we are looking to continue to grow. So if you're watching this, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're just an overall NBA fan, make sure to subscribe. If you're a Pistons fan, subscribe. So just make sure to subscribe, show some love to your fellow brothers in the Detroit Pistons community. Without further ado, let's get into the recap of Pistons versus the Miami Heat. Tonight's final score was 112-100 in the Miami Heat's favor. This game was a very close game throughout pretty much 3.5 quarters. I mean, really, it came down to really the last 2 minutes. But to kind of start conversation tonight, I want to talk about Killian Hayes. 13 points, 11 assists on 6 of 14 shooting in 37 minutes. They showed a statistic tonight of he's averaging in the last 4 games 14.3 points per game, 9.5 assists, and 2 steals. That stat line we are more than happy with. What are some of your thoughts, Ryan, on this? I wouldn't say stellar play from Killian Hayes, but far beyond our expectations.
Yeah, he's just doing his role. That's about it. He's having a solid night like he has been, and you don't want a guy to force his play, and he's not forcing it. You can see that he's comfortable and he's being himself. Like we've gotten, at least I've gotten so used to seeing him back the guy down in the paint, but then hit him with the fadeaway. And that's just like his bread and butter. That's his go-to. And it may not drop every single time, as you see for 6 out of 14 shooting, but he still had 6 of them that were similar to that ended up dropping. And he just likes that. And if he feels comfortable enough to take that every night, go ahead. Because I'd rather have him shoot that than shooting a shot that, like, why are you even shooting that?
Right.
So I want him to get good looks, and I want him to feel comfortable. And then passing the ball, he was doing his thing. He's a passer. He's a facilitator. That's his role. And like even in the late stretches there, we saw the pass to Amarui, and it went out. Amarui wasn't expecting it, and it ended up in a turnover. But that's an example of like Killian is seeing these things before it even happens. Amarui wasn't expecting that pass because majority of the time guys wouldn't even attempt to make that pass. But then you have Killian that is trying to attempt it. And so that's just, it shows you how smart Killian is. You may not see it every night where he's going out there and having a double-double, or he's going out there and having at least 9 assists and 14 plus points, but you can see when he shows his flashes, you can see how smart he is, and that is very crucial.
The last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how the Pistons find their groove in the third quarter. Tonight, they outscored the Miami Heat 34-22 in the third quarter. Tonight was a back and forth game, 15 lead changes, 5 ties, but Detroit outscored Miami 24-12 in the third quarter. At a point. How, as a fan, can the fan base hold their hats on the third quarter as Detroit Pistons fans? It just seems that it's so crucial to be able to be like, yep, we're a good third quarter team. There is something to look forward to.
Yeah, the third quarter is the perfect time to be good because it can be close going back and forth in the entire first half. The first half, you either see a big lead or it's very small. And then immediately, if that team is good, they're going to kick the crap out of you right from the start of the third quarter, because that's usually how teams just go ahead. And yet we're the kind of team where it's like, we'll play bad the other 3 quarters, but the third quarter, no matter what, we're always going to play good and we're going to keep it close. And that's how we get back into games. And so the third quarter, I would say, is the most crucial part of the game, outside of obviously the start of the game where you have a lead or you don't. or in the fourth quarter. I'd say the last 3 minutes in the fourth quarter is very crucial, depending on how close the game is. But majority of the time, the third quarter is the most crucial part of the game, and it defines what the outcome will be. And the fact that we continue to be one of the better third quarter teams out there, that is very impressive, and it's very good to see for the future.
The whole first half goes by, and I keep getting frustrated because James Wiseman just isn't getting his looks. I liked the way Marvin Bagley played in that first half. He really helped the scoring load per se. But James Wiseman just wasn't really getting shots up. And then all of a sudden in the third quarter, 16 points, around 5 rebounds in the third for James Wiseman. He finished with 22 points, 13 rebounds, 10 of 13 shooting, which personally, as a close following the Detroit Pistons, I love the high efficiency from the field. I just absolutely love that on 33 minutes. What did you see from James Wiseman? Are you geeked about his play tonight? What are some of your thoughts?
He had a stellar game. And this is what Pistons fans should expect to see from him every night. At least a double-double, because that's what he has done majority of his career outside of the NBA, obviously, because he's barely played in the NBA. But most notably, when he did play the couple games in college and then all of high school, he was doing his thing, and this is what the stat line would normally be for him. And so we're finally seeing that, and it seems like I keep making the comment every single game as a Piston for him. He just keeps getting better and better and better as time goes on, and that's perfect for us. And as much as I love Sadiq, we definitely won that trade in the sense that we got a young piece like James Wiseman, still only 21 years old, and is playing this productive. That's very good to see out of a guy like only missing 3 shots in a whole game and having 22 points, 13 boards. Like that is a great stat line to have.
Totally. And I'm not taking away from what Marvin Bagley did tonight. 14 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 6 of 11 shooting. That's not bad at all on 29 minutes. I loved the way Marvin Bagley played tonight. But there was just times in the first quarter where James Wiseman, for a guy that when he has big plays doesn't really show much emotion, you can kind of tell when he's getting frustrated that he's not getting any looks. He'll kind of be running back with his head down to get back on defense. And there's just times where Bagley is backing down a guy, kind of what we saw weeks back, right when James Wiseman made his debut with Bojan. Bojan would kind of not give James his rightfully so shot. And right when the Pistons from the get-go, Killian, Rodney McGruder were making a point to get James Wiseman the ball, and he went and ran with it and had a great third quarter. And that third quarter, as far as keeping us close against a tough Miami Heat team, they're in standings wise, they're not where they probably could be, but they're a savvy NBA vet team that knows how to get dubs. And this Pistons team showed that they have some knit and grit to them.
Yeah, I saw the point where it was the fourth quarter. We still only had Jimmy Butler at 15 points, and that's like perfect. When you have the top dog not scoring what he normally scores throughout the first 3 quarters of a game, that's very good to see for a young Pistons team that, yeah, we do lack on defense all the time. But if we can lock down a guy a little bit, that'll help us stay in the game. But then you have Bam Adebayo going off for 26, and you have all like Tyler Hero with 19. And so it's like you can stop the guy, but then you have to pick up the other 2. And it's just hard doing that with a team where we're very young. Majority of our roster is very inexperienced. And so it's kind of hard knowing how to step out and make plays on Bam Adebayo or Tyler Hero. And so the fact that we were as close as we were tonight, that just shows you the improvement, because we covered this in our last episode there, the growth between last year and this year. You can see the growth clearly as the time goes on, even though, majority of the games here post All-Star break, we're losing because, we're not that good. But you can still see the growth, and you just how well our rookies are playing and how well our second-year guys are playing, third-year guys, like Eugene Umaruya as an example. He's a G League player, and he stepped up and signed 2 10-day contracts with us. And he just keeps showing that he belongs with us. He keeps showing these flashes. Killian keeps showing flashes. Ivy keeps showing flashes. All these key young guys are starting to flash a little bit, and that is good to see. And I'm excited.
We have to talk about Rodney McGruder getting about, I think, his third or fourth start in a row. There is a list that Bally Sports put up of the top 3-point shooters percentage wise in this month of March. And it's Al Horford at 60% at number 1, Joe Ingles at number 2 with 57%, Kevin Huerter at 56%, Tyrese Maxey at 54%, and then our guy, Rodney McGruder at 52.5% 3-point percentage in the month of March. Tonight, he had 15 points, 9 rebounds, which shout out Rodney McGruder for that extra little oomph behind his game tonight. He just had a little bit of extra energy, and eventually he went to the locker room with an injury, but came back and got a couple more minutes. And I believe he knocked a 3 when he came back. But Rodney McGruder, I've been loving his play. Honestly, for me, I'm happy for him because right now he should just be chasing a fat contract, whether it's with Detroit or with somewhere else.
Yeah, he's playing above what he normally plays. Well, he normally doesn't play, but that's the point. But he had 37 minutes tonight, and no matter what, I always say it, he's very productive. No matter what he does, he's very productive. He always looks to take the good shot. He's a vet. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to dismantle offenses. He's a great cutter, probably one of the best cutters on this team by far, like a landslide, honestly. And he just knows the little details, the fine lines between being good and being a good vet and being an average player. And he just, no matter what, the outcome for him as he's started, he's averaging double-digit points a game, and it's like he's showing he can play. And I'm just it's a blast watching him play.
Oh, absolutely. Watching him, who is severely undersized. He's really a point guard size, maybe shooting guard on some teams, but it's great to see him just go up and get rebounds against guys like Bam Adebayo. Like, it's just such a blast. It's like, oh, dude, like he's such a competitor. Like, I just love it so much. Corey Joseph, I'm really happy with his play tonight. He did exactly what we've needed him to do. Hit threes when we need him to, spot up, but then also create some shots. Tonight, he had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 of 11 shooting on 28 minutes. Now, there's 2 reasons why I'm really happy with Corey Joseph's play. One, because he's helping the Pistons compete. That's all we need him to do. We need him to help keep games tight when coming off the bench. He needs to be able to compete with the backup point guard. But number 2, he's only putting his stock up that much higher for a possible flip. Now, whether that's he gets a big contract in free agency, I'm not sure what his contract's looking like, if it's a team option, so on and so forth, or if he's got another year under his belt. But if he does have another year under his belt and he's playing this well to end the season, I can easily see him getting thrown in there on a trade.
Yeah, he's playing like he's supposed to, honestly. Like, this is what the Pistons expect out of him each and every night, and he just does it. He's one of those savvy vets that knows how to get the job done at the end of the day, and that's what you can really appreciate out of him. And like, we had a stretch there where he'd always play for us. He'd always like start, and it's like give these young guys a chance. And then all of a sudden, they gave the young guys a chance, and then he barely played ever. And then now he's slowly creeping back into the starting lineup and actually playing games just because injuries are occurring. But this is what you want to see out of these guys. When injuries occur, you want to see these guys step up. In that, and he goes into the conversation of him and Rodney McGruder. These are 2 guys, key examples of vets that, given injuries and given the responsibilities they have for their team, they just come in and step up when they need to. And that's what you can expect out of 2 vets, 2 good, solid players out of Corey Joseph and Rodney McGruder. And I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Joseph gets moved this offseason. I can see a team maybe wanting him, but the problem with him is that the most you're going to get out of him is like a second round pick, and I'm not talking like a second round pick this year and next year. It's like a second round pick 3, 4 years from now. And
Right.
just because he's older, he's up there in age, but then at the same time, yeah, he is very productive, but he's also slower. He he is a great shooter, but there's times and stretches where he may not take the smartest of shots, and then there's times where he does turn the ball over a, a lot, typically in close games. But tonight he didn't do that, thankfully. But there's just a little bit of he's not as good as what I'd pay another guy. And so that's why I
Right.
see a late future second round pick rather than a second round pick coming up. Or even if he does get moved, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a cap dump, more of like they're trading him away and getting money back in the offseason. I wouldn't mind that either. But that's just what I see out of him.
Yeah, I would hopefully see like maybe like a him going to like the Milwaukee Bucks or like the Golden State Warriors or maybe another terrible team like the Rockets or the OKC, maybe just like thrown into a trade there, kind of what we did with Derrick Rose to New York. Um it was kind of a shame. Jalen Duren only played 8 minutes tonight, 2 points, one foul, one rebound. One of one from the field. Hey, no, but he left the game with what it seemed to be a chin injury. It seems maybe upper neck injury from when he collided the bottom of his head to the top of Kevin Love's head on a defensive rebound rather. It's kind of unfortunate to see him come down with an injury when the Pistons are already dealing so much with injuries. Hopefully, he doesn't go out for an extended period of time. Hopefully, maybe he just gets concussion protocol and then maybe comes back in 2 to 3 games. It would be nice if he's not out for the season like Stu.
Yeah, I think it might be a concussion because just the angle of which his head is hitting Kevin Love's, and just in the sense that he can't really control it because Jimmy Butler shoves Ronnie Magruder into Jalen Duren, and Jalen Duren is already up in the air trying to contest a Kevin Love shot, and then is going down at an awkward angle, and it's like, what can you do in that situation to protect yourself? And he just wasn't able to do it, and so he hit his chin like that, but you would immediately think like, oh, it's a chin injury or it's his neck or something like that. But I immediately thought concussion, given the sense that you're getting your head jammed back, and then like immediately as soon as he got out onto the ground, he's holding onto his head, and it's like that's not. He's grabbing his jaw a little bit, but you can see the pain from his head, and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna. I think that might be a concussion. But even if we do lose him for the rest of the season. It's not like we're losing him for a long period of time. We still have a couple games, but I would have loved to see him and Wiseman on the floor together more,
Mm.
just to see what that would look like. Because we've been teased with it a little bit, but we haven't gotten the full picture yet. But it sucks when those plays happen. I love Jimmy Butler, but that was a dirty play.
Right. Typically in Detroit Pistons losses, we can blame let me run that back. Typically in a Detroit Pistons loss, we can blame a certain statistical category. We can be like, "Oh, it was turnovers," or "Oh, it was fouls." But really tonight the Pistons and the Heat were very evenly matched. Even in the turnover category, assists, stuff like that. But really, what it came down to was a late time run by the Miami Heat, 12-0, 12-0 run. And in the fourth quarter, the Miami Heat outscored the Pistons 38-19. How crucial is that fourth quarter in those? How do the Pistons take a learning experience from this? I guess is what I'm asking.
At the end of the day, defense wins championships. That's the bottom line. And we look at our transition defense or just our defense in general, it's not as good as what it should be. And even with a young team, like honestly, the Orlando Magic, they're really young, but they would defend that better than we do. But
Mhm.
that's given that some of those young guys have learned how to play, but Orlando drafts young guys that are legit, but at the same time know how to play the game because they're like Franz Wagner as an example. He spent a lot of time playing at Michigan. It wasn't like he's a one and done. He walked out immediately and gets drafted. He spent time there. He developed his game. He understood the game more. And we don't have a lot of those guys on our roster. We don't have like Duran as an example. He did kind of spend a lot of time, but not really at Memphis. You have Ivy, who kind of spent a lot of time, but really didn't. And like Killian Hayes, we don't lack the experience that one team needs to possess in order to defend that properly. Because you saw, like, even Rodney Magruder, you have Kevin Love backing down in the paint to go up with a shot, and you have Rodney just sitting there jumping up and down trying to block it. And it's like, dude, just stay planted. Like, it's not hard. And so you see these little mistakes that we make, and it adds up. Because I would say the biggest reason for Miami's run tonight was rebounding, because they had so many opportunities to get an offensive rebound, and they got it every single time. We did not box out a single guy, and then all of a sudden you have Tyler Hero hitting a corner three off of a play that shouldn't have even happened, and then their run continues, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes on and time expires. But those are the little things. If you don't box out, just hit a man. Literally, just hit a man, box him out, make sure you get the board, and that stops the run instantly. And that's been one of our biggest flaws this season, is rebounding, and that was the outcome for tonight.
Any last takeaways from you, Ryan, before we wrap up today's recap of Pistons versus the Miami Heat?
Eugene Amarui is that guy. Buzzer beater. I love it. Rodney Magruder needs the bag. He is playing like out of this world, honestly. Like all of our guys, we played good enough tonight to win, but our defense failed us. That's about it. But like when you have multiple guys going, like our starting five, all of them double digits in scoring. You have Corey Joseph off the bench with 16, Eugene with 7, even though it's not like a ton, but that's crucial for a guy coming off the bench. And even though Jalen Duren and Buddy Boeheim didn't really get a whole lot of minutes, they still impacted the game. You could tell their impact right away. But yeah, we played good enough to win, but the defense wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, if this is a team like the Houston Rockets or even like a current Brooklyn Nets or an Orlando Magic, this is a recipe for success. But unfortunately, it came against a solid vet-heavy team in the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler is so savvy. Bam Adebayo is a great, efficient player. And Tyler Hero is just a complete bucket getter. So when you have a recipe like that, and a guy like Kyle Lowry that knows how to get so many calls, by the way, complains about so many calls. It's so frustrating sometimes.
He's a goofball, though. I love him.
Yeah. Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I'm a fan, but it's like every call, he's like yelling at the ref. He's like frustrated with the ref. It's like, all right, come on, man. Like, you're an NBA champ. Like, just, roll it. Anyway, that will do it for today's Revved Up recap of Pistons versus the Miami Heat. That final score tonight was 112-100 in the Miami Heat favor. You have seen my Revved Up merch in today's recap. If you like that, you can wear this. In the link below in the description or in our YouTube bio is a link to Grind Clothing Co., where you can find our second merch drop. And also go check out some of Grind Clothing Co.'s designs. They got some drippy designs. Ryan was wearing one in today's recap. Yep. So represent. And so make sure to go check them out, because there's everybody for everybody's different taste of style. And make sure to go follow them on Instagram also. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap. Peace.